Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Hobart begins now.
Good evening. First tonight, residents are breathing a sigh of relief after a severe flood threat was downgraded. The SES door-knocked Hadspen residents warning of a river peak at 7 metres, but they've escaped immediate danger for now.
Rivers breaking their banks at Longford, Perth, Evandale, Westwood and Hadspen.
It's been much higher than this.
Yesterday morning, families were still playing at this park, leaving residents shocked.
Probably as quickly as it came, yeah. But I think it's actually gone down a little bit.
The worst of the floods occurring at Hadspen, where the Meander and South Esk rivers meet. The Meander River yesterday sitting at a low flood level.
Because they meet at an intersection and the amount of flow that's coming down the South Esk, it actually pushes water back up the Meander. And it pushes it back up as far as the Westwood Bridge.
Nearby farmers taking no risks.
So we've moved probably about 15 horses up to the top of the hill over the other side and a couple of hundred young lambs that were on a paddock that was along the river.
Early warning allowing them to move stock, but still an anxious wait overnight.
Early this morning, about 5:30 in the morning, we had to quickly move the remaining ones as it rose up a little bit faster than we were expecting.
The SES spent the evening door-knocking Hadspen residents and helping them move their possessions to higher ground. They were expecting a 7-metre peak, but thankfully that didn't happen.
Peaked at 6.3 at approximately 3 o'clock this afternoon. And at 6 o'clock this morning it was peaking at 6.
Marcus's farm stretches from Westwood to the Trevellyn Dam. His road is currently flooded out.
The cows aren't at risk, but actually getting vehicles and access to them to check on them, we're lambing at the moment, so looking and checking our stock will be a little bit difficult.
But the worst could still be yet to come, with more rain expected over the coming days.
We've got to wait for it to go down, but it looks like with the rain forecast for next week that we could be in for some more flooding, if not bigger.
This is high enough.
Yeah. Talia Jordan, 7 Tasmania News.
Strike action took place across the state as teachers and child safety officers lamented their lack of resources. Meanwhile, a COVID thank you payment to nurses has been slammed as a bribe after it was revealed they would have to call off their strikes.
Flagging their disappointment in the Department of Communities being dissolved, child safety officers stopped work today.
We obviously don't want to take industrial action. However, we're working with the most vulnerable children and families who don't have a voice unless we have a voice for them.
Passing a motion to continue if they aren't consulted.
Workers are exhausted, they're angry, they've had enough.
So any kind of talk about service delivery being impacted is just really unfair to workers, because actually service delivery is impacted every day.
Adding their names to a long list of sectors walking off the job. Teachers at Launceston College did the same this morning. So too did nurses in the northwest. It's despite the offer of a $2,000 COVID thank you payment. The Premier copping criticism for its caveats, such as a requirement to drop all future strike action.
What the government announced yesterday was a gag payment for nurses, midwives and healthcare professionals.
Premier, any goodwill with health workers you may have restored has been wasted by your cynical approach in what should have been a genuine gesture of thanks.
And it is fairer because it extends to more frontline health staff and removes any uncertainty about the payment due to the escalation and de-escalation of hospitals.
Some hope delivered to pay rise hungry public sector workers. The budget's 2.5% assumption isn't a cap. Small comfort for Tasmanian nurses, the lowest paid in the nation. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
The Greens have handed over a petition with more than 2,500 signatures calling for an end to the EOI process for developments in national parks. Supporters gathered outside Parliament House this morning, voicing their concerns over the process.
And they're worried about the impacts of, for example, large-scale hut developments within these quite sensitive areas.
The state government says the process provides a rigorous filter for development submissions. New data has revealed Hobart's rental market remains hot despite surging inflation and interest rates. Figures released by PropTrack show properties are being snapped up in just 19 days, which is also the national average. The city is also suffering from a lack of supply, with listings down by 25% compared with pre-pandemic levels. Mount Nelson has seen the biggest jump in median rent, the suburb recording a 30% year-on-year rise. Meanwhile, a proposed inquiry into Hobart's rental market has been shot down. Independent MP Christy Johnston raised the issue today after hearing from concerned constituents.
Because the private rental market is so competitive, they are simply stuck in bad situations, in unsuitable housing and trying to pay unaffordable rents.
The government voted down the motion. A man charged with stabbing a stranger at a Zap gym in Kings Meadows 2 years ago has been found not criminally guilty on the grounds of insanity. The defence presented evidence showing the man was severely affected by mental illness at the time of the incident, that rendering him incapable to reason between wrong and right. The accused will remain in custody for 6 weeks while a mental report is prepared for the chief forensic psychiatrist. And parents in Hobart's northern suburbs have been dealt a blow, with Glenorchy Council scaling back its childcare operations. From next week, the Benjafield and Berrydale childcare centres will run for just 4 days a week instead of 5 due to lack of staff. Council's General Manager says while he understands community frustration, health and safety must be a priority.
Because our children are under care are the most high priority for us, we've really had to make sure that we can reduce our hours to make sure we have safe conditions.
Around 70 families will be impacted by the changes. Tasmania has reached another sad COVID milestone, with the state's death toll rising to 170. A man in his 80s died with the virus in the south. 487 new cases have been recorded today, a slight decrease on yesterday's figures. There are currently 20 people being treated in hospital for COVID symptoms. 4 are in intensive care. An ambitious project has been launched to resurrect the Tasmanian tiger. Hollywood royalty is backing the Melbourne University initiative, which has been linked to a sci-fi movie. But questions are being raised about its morality and chances of success.
A dark chapter in Tasmanian history. Since 1936, the thylacine has been seen as extinct, driven to it by human actions. Its loss having an impact on local ecosystems.
Those large predators control the populations of herbivores like possums and paddymellons and Bennett's wallabies.
Now Melbourne University researchers are looking to bring them back from the dead.
We've got really good specimens still around today that enable us to sequence its genome and understand more about its DNA.
It was done in Jurassic Park.
Very good. Push. Push. Very good. God.
And this idea has a Hollywood element. The uni teaming with the Chris Hemsworth-backed American company Colossal Bioscience. The god of thunder looking to cause a rumble in science and conservation. Researchers turning to the genome of the fat-tailed dunnart, a distant relative of the tiger, to engineer the revival.
Using our living cells from that dunnart, we go in and we edit all of those differences. So we're essentially engineering that dunnart genome now into a Tasmanian tiger.
While the team believes it can be done in a decade, not everyone is convinced. One specialist is concerned the enthusiasm doesn't match the science.
There's millions of years of evolution separating the thylacine from those other species.
While Tasmania's leading thylacine expert warns it could become a freak show, also hindering conservation efforts.
People just imagine this is a silver bullet and we can fix everything up later. Well, later will be too late.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
A park on North Hobart's busy restaurant strip is receiving a facelift worth more than $780,000 with council and government funding. The land on Swan Street, leased to the council through the Uniting Church, will feature a play area for children, pockets of grass and a handful of seating options.
It's going to be sort of a unique, state-of-the-art small park in the city, in an urban area.
This is the sort of investment that improves the quality of life for people. Gets them outdoors, out in the sun, somewhere for the kids to run around. This is money well spent.
Construction is already underway and is expected to last 6 months. Drug detector dogs, detectives and uniform officers will be policing northern roads until midday tomorrow in a bid to create greater road awareness. The operation will see every available officer in the north of the state take part in the initiative, which is focusing on preventing fatal crashes.
A simple message.
Well, enough's enough.
Tasmania Police are out in force this week with a focus on road safety.
Today is a district day of action. It's 24 hours of policing our traffic and traffic offences. We're focusing on random breath testing, alcohol and drugs.
It's one of the biggest joint operations in recent years, with 3 police districts, north, west and south, all working together.
A statewide effort like this is uncommon in the past, but there's going to be more and more of them.
The sting already proving to be a success, with 1,500 motorists drink and drug tested in the first 2 hours of the operation. This 45-year-old man was nabbed for drink driving, recording a blood alcohol level of 0.08 around 3 o'clock this afternoon.
For those that are doing the wrong thing, we're going to be out here, we're going to be enforcing the law, and we're going to be targeting those people who just keep ignoring those fatal 5 offences.
The operation is timely, with our road toll for 2022 already at 36, overtaking last year's total of 35.
It's certainly well above what we have the other years, and we're doing everything we can to prevent any more.
The message from police is to drive to the conditions and avoid the fatal 5.
It's not just an effort by us, it's also an effort by the public as well.
Calling for the community to do their part in keeping our roads safe. McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania's state MPs have been dealt the facts about the battle facing people who've had a stroke. The Stroke Foundation today lobbying politicians for more support at Parliament House. Survivor Nick Stephen, who had one at just aged 37, shared his experiences and challenges. Experts say while Tasmanians are among the most aware in the country about the signs and symptoms, it also has some of the worst rates.
Over 600 people will experience a stroke for the very first time. We can do more. We can always do more. 80% of strokes can be prevented.
I didn't have any of the risk factors associated with stroke, but still had one in my late 30s.
Members of the public are urged to become familiar with the FAST acronym. Some of Tasmania's most magnificent scenery is on offer as part of the Cygnet Cycling Festival. The event's launch spun into action this afternoon, with riders gearing up for 2 different races, a family event and a BMX skills session.
Our sort of max numbers in previous years was over 100, and we're hoping to exceed that again.
Organisers say the event will provide a tourism boost to the Huon Valley region. Tasfast is leading the state as one of the first freight companies to adopt electric vehicles. The 2 carbon-friendly vans fall under the government's stamp duty waiver, which is encouraging more businesses to go electric. Tasfast says it will benefit from lower fuel and maintenance costs.
These are probably saving about $400 a week on fuel that you don't have to put in, and then even the servicing, there's a lot less moving parts.
A bit over 1,100 electric vehicles registered in Tasmania at the moment. More than half of them have benefited from the stamp duty waiver.
An additional 43 electric vehicle charging stations are being built around regional parts of the state this year. It's no secret Tasmanians love a good pizza, and now you can help the community with every bite. Pizza with Purpose is firing up the ovens this weekend, giving those living with a disability the chance to feed a city with their own hands.
All systems go on the dough.
I love it, to share with my family.
And plenty more families can enjoy Pizza with Purpose this Saturday night, when these aspiring chefs from St Giles turn Launceston into Little Italy.
Bit of flour, doesn't stick. Making them round and then we're putting them on the boards.
The pop-up pizza shop is the crowning jewel of a year-long social project, teaching Tasmanians with a disability how to turn a few simple ingredients into a culinary classic.
Going from chopping an onion to seeing the final product and seeing it end up on someone's plate and the satisfaction that gives them.
It's not always pretty.
I don't like the dough sticking in my hands.
But always appetising.
Does it taste better that night or the next day, do you reckon?
I think it tastes better the next day.
By Saturday, those balls of dough will become 3 delicious pizzas: wallaby, mushroom and margarita.
As yesterday we peeled 3 kilos of garlic, and I don't know if they were like super enjoying it at one point. I was like, I promise this will pay off.
Pre-orders can be made on the Abled Kitchen or St Giles Facebook pages. The chefs coming full circle since their first sprinkling of flour. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmanian News. The Launceston Tornadoes have saved their best for finals. Recently crowned MVP Keely Froling will be joined by both Kelsey Griffin and Mariana Tolo for the first time this season when the trio heads to Geelong for the elimination final. The side's been denied a shot at the championship for the past 2 seasons due to COVID.
Really, we've been working for this for 2 years, and to have the group finally get here, and it's not about where we finish. All we had to do was get in that top 8. Now it's about getting to that grand final.
It'll be Michaela Bingley's last game. She's heading to Texas after the Geelong trip to play college basketball. But the 19-year-old says she'll miss her Tornadoes teammates.
They're like a second family. Like everyone, you spend pretty much every day with them.
The Tawns beat Geelong by 4 points the last time they met.
Good evening. Strawn, Grove, Friendly Beaches and Hobart all on the top today of 16. The Northern Centres all 13 degrees. St Helens and Bushy Park 15. King Island, Low Head and Smithton 14. Flinders Island 13 today. Lyreweenie the low with -2. Middle and high level cloud over us today. Lower cloud underneath over the north and west of the state. An extensive area of high cloud pushes across our way from Western Australia. Colder air is following there. There's a front further west with that cold pool of air to the southwest. Tomorrow the high moves across the Tasman Sea as the front crosses Tasmania, a large high looming over WA as well. Northwesterlies as strong as 25 to 35 knots, shifting west-northwesterly in the evening tomorrow, swells to 3.5 metres. Gale warning for waters between Tasman Island and Stanley, a strong wind warning for remaining coastal waters and the Central Plateau Lakes. Moderate flood warnings for the Macquarie, Meander and South Esk rivers. Minor flood warnings apply to the Jordan and North Esk. Plenty of water still filling up the catchments. Tomorrow, a shower or two for Hobart, 17, 16 for Cygnet, showery, New Norfolk, 16 as well. Launceston, a high of 15 degrees, rain easing later, same for Devonport, 14 the top though and 14 for Campbelltown. Burnie, a high of 13 degrees with rain easing later, a windy day, 14 for Strawn, rain for Smithton, 15 degrees. St Helens tomorrow a top of 15 with showers, possible shower for Swansea and 14 the top for Fingal. Friday, showers developing and pushing over most of the state by evening, apart from sunny Swansea, snow to 600 metres. Snow to 500 metres in the far southwest on Saturday as showers ease and contract to the west, and on Sunday a few showers over the north and west. Becoming cloudy in Perth, rain for Adelaide and Melbourne, partly cloudy in Sydney, a sunny 23 in Brisbane. And we have cloudy conditions prevailing right around Tasmania. Louise, I have been warned not to say anything stupid to you in this part of the bulletin, so it's back to you.
Oh my God, well that'll be a first. Thank you for that. That's all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.